Hi, Andrea. Hi, I'm Sasha.
Hi, Sasha.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Oh, here's Brad.
Hi, Brad. Hi, Emil.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey, Steve. Hey, Mo.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, my phone took over my headphones, so I may have missed a few things. I'm back. Start sharing the notes for today. So, like mentioned, he won't be able to join today, unfortunately. Let's wait another minute to see if there are more people joining, then we can get started.
Tracy will be here. She's just running late.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Well, it's 3 past, I would say. Let's get started. Maybe more of us will join along the way. So welcome everyone to the TOC CDF TOC meeting. Today is January the 31st. And yeah, my name is Andrea Frittoli. I work for IBM.
Jay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Hey, do you want to start record?
It should have been when I jumped in. It said it was going to record.
Oh, my bad. I'm just okay. I missed that.
Yes.
I apologize. Sorry. I'll go back on mute.
No, but that's a great point. Thanks, Robert. I mean, I think, yeah, they're recorded automatically in the meeting setup. So it's good to know, so that when we join that, we know that we are recorded from the start. Okay. Right. So first thing, I just wanted to spend a couple of words very briefly on the agenda. I updated the template slightly to have like list of TOC members and project representative. And what I did for last time is like graying out people who were not participating to the meeting on that day. And then we have a space for other attendees to sign in if they would like so to do so. I hope this works, this format works. Maybe, yeah, but I'll take care of updating the list here if that's okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask about the agenda is that, I mean, this time I prepared a bit of last minute, but I wanted to ask if it would be beneficial for folks to have the agenda prepared a few days in advance so that people have time to review it and prepare for the meeting before the meeting.
I can go either way, where we could either have it beforehand or we kind of do it on the fly where we add items as we go. Either way works for me. Whichever is easier. Because most of the stuff I've already been following on Slack, so.
Okay.
Same here, Andrea. I'm okay with getting it the day of. Really depends on your schedule and yeah, how much you want to put into keeping track of it. But it's out there. Everybody can always look at it. We generally have the agenda set up at the end of this meeting. We'll know what we need to talk about it for the next. So.
Okay. All right. Well, what I can do, I can try to prepare at least a skeleton or put some items beforehand, and then we can always add things on the fly as needed. And right, sure. Okay, well, I'll generally try to put something in advance, but I think the agenda is, of course, always open for people to add things in. All right, I don't want to spend more time on that. From last week, action item reviews, there were a couple of things to find a shipwright project representative, which is still pending. So my bad, sorry about that. And create an issue about adding a project map that I created. So this is related to what we discussed, that it would be useful to have a map for projects and CDF project, how to contribute to them, what are the communication channel for people joining our community and looking for kind of indications where to go to contribute or communicate to the various projects.
You know, I'm on the governance committee for the OpenSSF. Mm-hmm. And they created what they call the Diagram Society, and they're creating some really interesting ways to represent that information. We might look, maybe when they get a little farther, or maybe I can even ask the Diagram Society if they'd be okay if somebody from here took a look at what they're doing, because I think it's really interesting. It's a much better way to show the information and could help open source projects and any of our working groups be more transparent in when we're meeting and what they're working on.
That's cool. Thanks, Tracy.
I really like that idea too, because we kind of need a template or something to provide so that we have consistency across the projects. I think that would really help as well.
And I can ask Krob if he'd be willing to present what he's done here. I think he'd be happy to talk about it because they've worked really hard on it.
Is it like a website, or is it something like related to Git?
I don't know how they wrote it. I'm guessing they wrote it in Python with some way to do links, and it's just a pretty graphical presentation of data.
Okay.
Cool. So is that Is there a link or something we can look at?
Not yet. He just presented it to the committee. I think they're going to present it to the governing board. But I don't think he'd have any issue with showing off what he's done and sharing some of it with us. And I'm happy to reach out and ask him to do that.
Thanks.
I'm looking through the OpenSSF repos to see if there's something public.
There may be a diagram society project. I'm not sure though.
It does not look like it yet, but they have 48 repositories. Let me take a look.
Sorry, I'm not sure I got the name right, Tracy. Is that Rob, you said, from OpenSSF?
He goes by Crob, C-R-O-B. Let me, okay. I'll send an email to him and ask him if he would be willing to present here. There's a bunch of them in the Diagram Society, so I'll just shoot a general email to that committee and ask if they could share.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tracy.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't see a repository that jumps out, so it must be still on his side. We'll keep, but that's what I found.
All right. Yeah, thanks for that. So hopefully that was all the action items from last week.
His name is Christopher. I'm sorry, but his name is Christopher Robinson.
Okay.
And he works at where does he work? Intel.
Great, thanks. Anything else on this? All right. Yeah, hopefully we can get an introduction, a presentation by him then in one of the next meetings. All right. I just wanted to provide a quick update on GSOC as we discussed Google Summer of Code last meeting. So we discussed about GSOC during the outreach committee meeting with Laurie and the other folks there as well. And so what I learned there is that the Jenkins teams every year they invest several months preparing for the submission of the mentoring organization for GSOC. So it seems like a very late time of the year to now for projects or for CDF to start preparing a submission for a mentoring org. I mean, the deadline is just a few days away. But what is definitely still possible for 2023 is to submit project ideas for Jenkins. So there's ideas of things that we could do as part of Jenkins. That's definitely still possible. And also what we discussed is that for next year, it would be great to have some maybe guidelines and timelines that we can share with the project. And I think it would be great is if as a TOC we could have driving this work and collaborating maybe with the Jenkins folks, they have plenty of experience in this area, and create some kind of guidelines or at least a timeline that project should follow if they're interested in collaborating to GSOC, so we can send notification out in a timely manner and hopefully get more project involved.
Can I just give you guys a little bit more information on what we're doing from the outreach side?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we met with Alyssa and Jean-Marc, and there are going to be 4 sort of infographics that we're going to create. The first one we want to do is just a high level, like what is GSOC and how do you get involved? The next one will probably be for org admins, one for mentors, and one for candidates. They have, like Andreas was saying, they have 6 years of doing this behind their belt. And then the big thing that we are going to be working on is they have an org admin like checklist, but it's more like a guidebook. And so that's something that's going to take a while to compile. And everything will have links back to Jenkins GSOC, like sort of, you know, on their website. Like they have an entire like section on their website that's dedicated to GSOC. So that's the big project, but we're going to start with smaller incremental sort of one-pagers to give back to the community and to the projects. And like Andrea said, like working with Jenkins to kind of formulate this out, because it does take like a full year to be ready for this. So we're excited. They're excited too.
That's great. Thanks, Lori. Is there any link or issue or document where we can follow progress on these, or we just?
Yeah, let me grab the link and I'll put it in the Slack, because we have 2 working docs. There's a folder on the CDF drive. One is for like just the general plan, and then one is sort of, I think, the framework of how the first like sort of infographic is going to go. We just met, so we haven't made much progress, but you can at least see like the meeting notes. And, you know, we're looking for people to participate. So it's not just going to be, you know, the CDF and Jean-Marc and Alyssa. We're trying to get more community members involved so we don't miss anything that, you know, would be important, because we're looking at it through, you know, very few lenses.
Cool, that's great. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, no, that's really great to see. And yeah, as I was saying, I think it's we should promote this work as much as possible once it's further it's ready as a TOC as well. Make sure that its projects are aware about this. Okay, anything else on GSOC? All right, moving forward. Next on the item on the agenda, I had the proposal for deputy chair that we discussed last time. I think generally there was positive comments. I think Jitin, you had some comment on the issue about whether the size of this group warrants having a deputy chair, and how will it work for decision making. So I put some answer to that comment in the ticket, but I think it would be beneficial in case the chair is not there. So if I'm not there, or any future chair is not there, there's someone who is able to maintain the agenda and facilitate the meeting. And in terms of decision making, I think we work by consensus of the group. So if we have a quorum, I think we can go on with that. And yeah, I think we need to define how this would work. But if the chair becomes unavailable for a longer period, for whatever reason, sickness, paternity or maternity leaves, or any other reason, then the deputy chair might be able to take over the role until a new election can be made. And that would help with continuity on that role.
So we probably need to update the, I don't know where we have our kind of our charter. Where do we have that in the kind of our rules? Is it just on our README?
It's part of the charter, I think.
I don't see the charter under the project.
Yeah, the talk chair is documented on CDF charter, and
Yeah.
we need to
Oh, it's at the
make an update
CDF
to the
level?
charter. Yeah.
So there isn't a charter in the TOC repo. It's up at the
Okay, so does that mean that the governing board needs to vote on that? Because it's a CDF, part of the CDF charter?
Yeah, we need to get the legal, make the updates to the charter, and then we need to bring it to the board. So if the TOC could, come to a conclusion, then we may have a chance to bring this to board meeting next month.
So why don't I do this? I'm partly responsible for this because I had recommended it. Let me look at the TOC charter around the CDF's charter around the TOC, and I'll share a Google Doc with what we want to change in terms of language. And I'll share it with everybody. We can make comments on it and get it to, so we can get it over to the board. Does that seem like a reasonable way to go forward?
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to the idea of a deputy chair, just curious on what other communities around us of our similar size has in practice. And will there be clear delegation methods defined? Or is it always by consensus if the chair is not there? Is it like every alternate meeting, if the chair is missing, can the deputy chair act on behalf? So matters of governance, I think that's what we need to call out.
Precisely why I need to make updates to the TOC, the section on the TOC Oversight Committee. I'm going to cut and paste this whole section, put it in a shared doc, make my initial changes, and then everybody can make comments on it and add clarifications where they see it's needed.
That makes sense.
That sounds good. If I remember correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think we initially brought this up because we were talking about maybe a completely different issue, and it was more about onboarding a new chair. And maybe, Andrea, you can speak a little bit about your experience with onboarding and how that worked out for you. Maybe this is already resolved, or maybe we need to address onboarding issues separately. But I was reading one of Robert's comments on the issue, and he has a valid concern.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa, and also read Robert's comments, and I think that's a valid concern as well. And well, it's all new for me as a chair, I guess. It's probably would have been beneficial to have some transition per time where maybe I was looking forward to become a chair for next time, and looking closely at what being a chair would mean, and then taking on the role. So that I think would have been helpful. That said, I think that the group here is great, and so everyone, we are supporting each other. So I think everyone makes me feel very, very good about, even if I'm new on this role. So and I think we are able to make some progress hopefully.
You're probably in the best position for this, but as you come across things that surprise you or made you nervous, or was just brand new information, can you document those? And then maybe the next person, it won't be such a hard transition.
Exactly. So Andrea, it's your unique position. You're saying this, as Melissa said, but this is a gift that you're giving to the next chair. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because guess what? That chair is going to add new stuff. And that's kind of what we do, right? We're all open source people, and make it a little bit better every day. And then somebody else comes in and improves upon that.
I think it will help in selecting new chairs in the future too, because it's difficult to know how much time it requires and what is exactly required of a person. So you may have a group on the TOC where nobody wants to do it, due to time constraints or whatever. So it'd be, better for helping to make that decision on whether to even apply for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa and Robert. I think those are great suggestions. So I'll start my diary with my observations.
Expect regular YouTube recordings.
And I just put the link where you can edit that. It's section F. So I just have section F in the Google Doc. I'll make some updates to it, and anybody who wants to make updates there can do that.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
No problem.
All right. Anything else on this topic from anyone? All right. Next topic is member project benefits. An update on that work we discussed last week, that it would be useful to have a nice and comprehensive project benefit document to share with project and prospective projects. Yeah, so we met with Melissa. Would you like to provide an update of where we are on this topic,
Sure.
Melissa?
Sure. Andrea started some of this by making great categories for us to be concerned about. You can see them if you click on that Hackaday link. We started from scratch without looking at much of anything, just kind of, starting from ground zero. It turns, we took a look at CNCF as an example to see what they had and see what was attractive there, what we might want to include, and some of the questions that we had. And turns out we also have a project services webpage on the CDF site. And I don't know if you can pull that up, Andrea, that might be helpful to look at. And I just wanted to point something out. We missed it completely, which is okay because it was a necessary exercise anyway. So we'll do some merging of what's already here and the new stuff that we came up with. Maybe it needs laid out differently. This service desk button that shows right in the middle, we need to do some work there, explain more about what that is and what that's for. But one of the reasons we might have missed it is this is under this technology tab. And it just doesn't seem like a good label. It's kind of lost in the mix. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is we have a big button, a become a member button. I think that's primarily for corporate members, but maybe we should have another button for project members, because I think it gets a little bit lost that projects don't have to pay a membership fee. And that might be something we can help when projects come looking at our foundation.
And I don't know if you're aware, Melissa, but the same thing happens at the Linux Foundation site. If you go search for a project and you say, I want to join a project, it asks you to become a corporate sponsor.
Right. I think we need to really differentiate between the two, because we certainly don't want to scare projects away.
So the same problems at the LF website as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that it's similar on the CNCF website too.
Because like you said, it would be really nice to be able to have developers and people want to contribute, be able to search and have a single button to take them to the right place to get going.
Exactly. We have that HackMD document. We'll keep working on that and then come up with some ideas on better presentation. One other idea that came up when we were meeting is it would be really nice to have a printable PDF or something that we can hand out at conferences and events.
And do you foresee that like that PDF would be something like a way for projects to kind of like try to do recruitment through that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a similar one for corporate. It looks like there's a downloadable. When you click that become a member button, there's a downloadable, but it's specific to corporate members. So yeah, we'll continue working on that and probably have more thorough update next time. But in the meantime, feel free to make comments in that document. It's certainly not meant to be private between Andrea and I.
Thanks, Melissa, for the update. Any other comments or questions? I really like the idea of having an extra button. Sorry, I interrupted you. Okay.
No, I was just going to say, like, as Melissa, you mentioned, like once this document is, finalized, we can take all these things like adding a button to website or creating a PDF. We can send them all together to Linux Foundation Creative Services and get drafts, especially for PDF created, and we can bring them back to the TOC for review before we approve. So yeah, whenever they are done, we can take the rest to the Creative Service.
All right. Moving forward, in the interest of time, CDCon, GitOpsCon, Patty, would you like to provide some updates on this topic?
Yes, I see Lori is with us as well. She's our program committee chair. I will just say the CFP is open until Friday next week, February 10th. So please get in your proposals. And yeah, like I'm very excited with, at least based on what we have seen in the proposals, it looks pretty good. And then I let Lori to summarize the discussion and early bird talks. Maybe we just announced them, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will say this is a really strong program committee. They're very engaged. We have all projects and end users represented. We have a good we have diversity on multiple fronts, not just for like a DEI initiative, but in terms of experience and what people are using for tools. But that was one of the main criteria when we looked for people to be on the committee, was that we had all projects represented, so there wouldn't be a skewing one way or another with a certain project, thinking that they had more face time, if you will. So we did just launch our blog post talking about the 5 early bird sessions, and it's really exciting to see what was selected. There was a good hierarchy and a lot of discussion. So the first one, and I'm going to put the link in the Slack so y'all can see it. Oh, sorry. It's my vet and I'm not home, so oh well. Okay, yeah, so the first one is a panel, and we're going to work with Gautam to select some panelists, but we were really excited about this, sort of how you balance business value with speed. We had a really good discussion about it on our call. Fidelity as an end user, they're doing a lot with multiple projects. We have a blog post coming out on a POC that they're using with Jenkins and CD events. So we think this is going to be a good talk, and it follows up what they did at the mini summit, which was great. Then we have a security featured talk about Tecton with 2 very well-known speakers, which is exciting, both from Google. Then we're going to be talking and diving deep into data. Treeverse is the company. LakeFS is, I believe, their open source project, but really getting in dirty with the numbers. And then last, but by no means least, we thought this one was super spicy. That is Andrew Fung's word. because he put blockchain in the title. And if you know anything about Persia, we have been walking on eggshells, calling it an immutable transaction ledger, just like not saying blockchain at all. And he went ahead and threw it out there, which we thought was cool. And it's the newest project added to the CDF. So we're really excited to see kind of what he comes up with. So again, these were just the 5 early birds. We had 44 submissions. There is a combo track between GitOps and CityCon, and we're working with their conference organizers to review those independently. Each committee will review the ones for both. And then the committee chairs will get together and determine if it should be a joint track or if GitOpsCon should take it or CityCon should take it. Basically, we don't want to have people not join a session because it said it was CityCon and or if said it was GitOpsCon and not CityCon. So we're really working to make sure that all of the content that's relevant for both audiences gets across the board. So submit your stuff because, like Fatih said, we have a week left.
That's great. Exciting. Thanks, Laurie. Any question on this topic? Nope. Okay. Sorry, I was just talking to myself. Roadmap review, I guess we maybe can leave it last. We have more issues on the agenda. So CD events implementation in CDF project. I'm not sure who edited this, but someone wants to present this topic.
Sorry about that. I stepped away from the desk. I'm back. I thought I had time. I didn't know you were going to skip the roadmap. Hey, I just wanted to bring up an idea that I had and run it by TOC and get your thoughts. You know, my view is that TOC should be the glue that's tying all of our projects together. And I look at CD events and I absolutely love it. This idea that we have a standard that we can notify users on things that happen with our CD projects. To get it going, though, to get broader adoption, my view is that we should work on having our projects, Jenkins, Spinnaker, Tecton, Jenkins X, notifying with you know using the standard that CD events has put out, and also show an example of this. My hope is that having our projects in CDF using CD events, one, it's creates a flywheel, right? Eating our own dog food, drinking our own champagne, however you want to put it. But also, I'm a huge fan of FOMO, fear of missing out. And I think that as a tool to get change, and I think that if we were able to get these other projects using CD events, talking about showing the benefit of it, that commercial projects start to adopt that. I'm looking at, Harness, Octopus Deploy, those sorts of things. And my hope is by showing value of CD events in these open source projects, that others start to adopt it as well. Like, oh, wow, we don't want to miss out. AWS pipeline, we have to do this. Azure DevOps, those sorts of things. So that was the idea. And I wanted to get the team's thoughts on this, on how to approach. I know we've got people from CD events and these projects here on this call, and I just wanted to chat about it and get your thoughts.
I think from like the Ortelius point of view, it may make sense for CD events to do a presentation that we can kind of get up to speed on what they're doing and how we could be involved from our project perspective, and looking at what would be needed for us to do that type of adoption. You know, what's the effort? Just so we have an idea of how we can fit it into our roadmap and project plan. Because I think right now, a lot of it is, a lot of folks, like, you know, Tracy and I are aware of it, but a lot of the other contributors on our projects are not aware.
Right, so that would be a presentation from the city events team to the Ortigas project, right?
Yeah, or a group of projects. It doesn't have to be one-on-one, you know, where they have to go and do every single project, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, let's do one to many, right?
Exactly. And I think that presentation would be more technical, like you were saying, Robert. You know, what would,
no doubt. Yeah.
what we need to do to get up and going.
Sure. Look, our hope is at CDF, I imagine, and please correct me if I'm wrong, gang, is we want more and more people using CD events so that we have a standard, so that when a CD tool does something, some other tool can hear that and display the results and maybe do something else. Did I get that wrong, or that's the goal, right?
Yeah. So I love your idea, Robert, personally, and I couldn't agree more that we need to get CD events in the tools, you know, to gain more traction. And indeed, we are working with some of the tools. But we need to do more of that. So I think, like the Steve idea is to get involved with your Ortigas project, present what CD event is about. For sure, is something that would be really useful. For Spinnaker, actually, we have a meeting tonight with the Spinnaker team about an RFP to include CD events in Spinnaker. So we are going to have some discussion with the Spinnaker team and CD events team about that. So we have some interest, some discussion started from Jenkins X folks. Also, they joined a couple of our CD events meetings, so they're interested in this. For Jenkins, there is definitely interest, especially from Fidelity. They're interested in adopting CD events, and they use Jenkins. So they definitely are interested in this feature, and hopefully in collaborating, making it a reality. Until now, the kind of missing technical bit for both Spinnaker and Jenkins has been the Java SDK for CD events, but we are actively working on getting that up to speed, so to remove that blocker. So that's definitely part of our, it's under our radar as a CD events project, but definitely any traction, any help we can get from the TOC, I think, to the CD events project would certainly be beneficial, because we are a small community, the CD events project. So,
which of our projects, which CDF projects are furthest along? Which one is, you know, it kind of sounds like they're all like, okay, we're discussing it, but who's really discussing it? Like, because if we concentrate on all of them, we're going to spread those resources pretty thin. But if we were able to show value with one project, and then go to the next and go to the next. So what would be, you know, your estimation, the team's estimation, like who is furthest along, who's most likely to adopt it, who perhaps has already adopted it?
Yeah, so I don't think any project has adopted the first release of the project yet. We had the draft version adopted is experimental format in Tecton.
Okay.
And that's there was myself and Deepa that worked on that. So because I work in the Tecton community and then the CD events community, that was easy to create that connection.
Okay. Roger that.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's. But I think the work on with the Spinnaker team is very so it's happening. So it's definitely something that I think we should continue pursuing, and so that's definitely for sure in the list.
Right on. I'm gonna go ahead and join the CD Event SIG next week. I think I already put it on my calendar. Chat with them, see where TOC can help, and then offer that assistance. My belief is that if you get success one place, you just need a spark to start a fire. And so showing value, showing that it works, again, it leads to FOMO, because other projects look at it and say, oh, well, we should add this as well, or it's easy to add, let's do this. If we're able to get a number of these projects, our projects using CD events and showing value, and then there's some kind of dashboarding to show this off, I think at that point, reaching out to the commercial market and saying, hey, this is a value, or hopefully their customers start asking for it. Because at the end of the day, that's what we really want. We want more and more people using these projects, bringing in more developers, more maintainers, more contributors to improve it, create that flywheel. So action item for me, I'll join the CD event SIG and just ask that community where I can be of assistance, and would happily take help from anybody on this call if you feel strongly about it. Thank you.
You're most welcome there, Robert. Would be great to see you there as well, Emil here. So I can just agree to everything that has been said. It would be great to have these projects on board to see the events sooner rather than later. And I also think that we should. It would be easiest to focus on the flow related projects to begin with, like the ones that are mentioned here in the potential. When it comes to Ortelius and other projects, Percy and those, I think they are maybe not as what should I say? Not as close to being useful by CD events or of CD events, let's say. So I think the flow related ones are the ones we should start with. And as Andrea said as well, the Spinnaker RFC is there. And I think that's a very generic implementation, which I think would be possible to get flying quite soon. And then we also have, as Andrea said, the Tecton implementation that has been there for some while, but it's not really up to date. And I think that's also something that is hopefully quite easy to get in. Then with the help of Tecton and his contacts. With the help of Andrea and his contacts there, of course. So I would focus on Spinnaker and Tecton. We have brought up the idea to Jenkins as well to have a Google Summer of Code project implementing CD events. We haven't really proposed it as such because that needs a mentor as well in the GSOC. So we haven't really found that we can afford that at the moment. But having mentors for such GSOC projects, both for Jenkins and Jenkins X maybe, would be one way to go forward with this as well.
All right, I like all of these things. Nobody said this is a terrible idea, so I take that's a good thing.
Well, we're just building you up, and then we're gonna let you know.
I have said thank you, Steve.
Now just from the like the Ortelius and Perseus side, they are not directly involved in like a pipeline type of event, but they are byline listeners to the events. So they're more interested in listening than actually connecting the dots. if that makes
Roger
sense.
that. Yeah, no doubt. You know, I was just looking at this and there is, you know, I'm using a lot of business lingo today, you know, FOMO and flywheel and those sorts of things. And, you know, my hope here is just to show value that it's working, and build a little bit of momentum, because all you need is a little bit. And I had this feeling when I was looking at this, like, you know, penguins hanging out on the ice shelf, and you know, each of them knows there's a leopard seal hanging out in the water. Nobody wants to go first. I don't think it's as bad as getting eaten by a leopard seal, but I think just, you know, a little bit of push from TOC. And I think that's the value that, you know, one of the many bits of value that we can provide to our projects in CDF. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Thanks, Robert. I think Fatih, as you have your hand raised, you wanted to
comment? Yeah, I want to point out an opportunity, like just going back 1 year, May 2022, CDVans was officially announced as the new incubation project to CDF. And end of October, we announced CDVans first release during KubeCon North America in Detroit. And we have CDCon coming up. And I know these things take time, but we have an opportunity, like if we can get 1 or 2 projects adopting this, like maybe beta availability, call whatever it is, we can make a really great PR and continue showing progress. So just keep in mind, like if things look doable by like mid-April or something, we can include this as a news item in our CDCon press release as CDVans adoption, Spinnaker, Jenkins, Tekton, or whatever project, just as a note.
Yeah, thanks for that, Fatih. Yeah, absolutely. It would be great PR to for CDF and for the project, obviously. So. Cool. Yeah, exciting to see interest and so many discussion about CD events. Sorry, I'm wearing my CD events maintainer hat as well. And thanks for bringing this up, Robert. Anything else on this topic? All right, so we only have 7 minutes left. On the OKR proposal from last week, there's no draft available yet, so no real update on that area. Hopefully bring some more updates for next time. So there is a GitHub sponsorship program for Ortelius.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick update on that. So thank you, Michelle and Fatih, for getting that us connected to the right persons in GitHub. So the contract's been signed between DeployHub and GitHub, and we're working on transferring the money over so it'll be available to the Ortelius org for the sponsorship program. The one thing that I need to figure out, I don't know if it's you, Fatih, or Michelle, we have a invoice from the Linux Foundation for $75,000 that we need to cancel. I just need to figure out how we go about doing that.
Yeah, I think, Steve, you can write an email to Michelle and include me so you can, I can help getting that going on. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one other issue we're having at Ortelius. Our website's gone.
Well, our Azure, everybody, so we've had an issue with our Azure subscription where the Linux Foundation paid the bill to Microsoft, but Microsoft never applied the money to our subscription. So Microsoft has canceled our Azure subscription. So everything that we do with Ortelius is basically gone in our Azure cluster or Azure account. So that includes our website, all of our stuff that we use for development. So it's quite a mess, but there's an issue open with the Linux Foundation IT, but still.
Well, it's been a week So Fatih, is there anything that you could do to try to push the ticket along? It's bad.
Yeah, no, it's the head of LF IT is that person who is looking into it personally. So that is the highest I could go within LF.
Okay.
And then the rest is on Microsoft, and like I could push as high.
So how
as I could
are the others like who pays for like the Jenkins site and the all of the other ones? Are we in
CDF
some
pays.
weird bucket?
No, it's all coming out from CDF budget, so they are all paid similarly. But for some reason, unfortunately, Ortelius, like tenant or like your account, got this issue. We didn't hear any similar issues from other projects, and there are other projects using Azure. So,
Well, it's been a while now. It's been too long. We're starting to get people send us emails and saying, "Are you guys still a project? What happened? Did you close?"
Yeah. Is there any way to put up the website on a different provider on a temporary basis?
Yeah, we may need to do that. We can move over to another under like the Deploy Hub account and redirect DNS entries and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the fastest. But that will just be the main website.
Yeah, but at least not having that link for the main website. Well, for Tecton and CD events, we use Netlify, but I don't know if that would be suitable for the Ortelius website.
Yeah, it's a Hugo Doxy server, so we can maybe do something like that as well.
Yeah, okay.
If you could drop me the info in Slack, if you know that, Andrea, for Netlify. You don't have to do it now.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, hopefully that is solved quickly. But yeah. All right, we only have 2 minutes left. So I don't think we have enough time really to go through this, but just wanted to have a look at the in progress ones. We can start with those. This is CDF charter updates for the co-chairs that we discussed already, so we can link. I can put some updates in here based on the discussion from today. So the CDVAN 0.2 release, yeah, so that's something we're working on the CDVAN's project, and that we plan to make a new release in February. We have CDF reference architecture best practices issue coordinated with the best practices SIG. That's maybe a longer discussion. I don't know if we have any updates on this one, or thinking what I can do is to maybe sync with the best practices SIG, see if we can get some updates on here, or maybe get someone to do a presentation of what we have on this today to the TOC. We're converting this to an issue so we can okay, and I guess we are at time. So we'll continue next time on the roadmap. All right. Well, it was great meeting everyone today. Thanks everyone for joining, and see you, if not earlier, in a couple of weeks.
Thanks,
Right.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Andre.
Bye.
Bye.